Joining us now are Andrew and Mark. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty
Good.
good.
How are
Thanks for
you
having
doing?
us.
Good. So, Mark, where are you calling in from today?
Los Angeles, California.
Aha. And Andrew?
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Woohoo! So we are coast to coast and everywhere in between. And I'm in Long Island, New York today. One thing that we all share in common, though, is the fact that we are against bullying. So many times on my show, I've shared the story about when I was in second grade and I would get a bloody nose and kids were mean to me. And I thought it was a big deal back then. It pales in comparison, though, to what other children have had to go through and what other, even adults, go through. So, Mark, could you share with us first a little bit about your experience, and then Andrew will go to you, and then we'll talk about what brought you together.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, what makes bullying nowadays different from what it was when you were bullied and when I was bullied on the playground is that you could escape it at some point. Now, though, with the ubiquitousness of social media and technology, the bullying comes right to your front door, into your living room, into your bedroom. It follows you everywhere, and you can't disconnect yourself from it. For me, my personal experience with online harassment began shortly after I took up the defense of somebody whose life ended up being ruined by a false accusation and a sort of kangaroo court mob trial of his life on social media. I came to his defense, and then those very same people turned against me and started the first wave of bullying that I've experienced that lasted several months. And in that time, they created multiple false narratives about me. They linked social media influencers, my employers, and other actors to the false narratives, and attempted to get me fired from all of my jobs, from my convention
Wow.
jobs and from all of my acting jobs. They even started a change.org petition against me, which ended up being so vile, its contents were so vile that change.org actually dropped the petition because it was so mean. But that didn't stop them. Every once in a while, they rear their narcissistic, nihilistic heads and pick some reason to come attack me. And they've done it in two other successive waves. And the last one started in February, and it was more or less constant for about 2 months, and then started to dwindle off as the guardians actually started to coalesce around me. The informal organization known as the Guardians, started by one of my fans slash friends, supporters. I'd rather say supporter.
There you go. Okay. And how about for you, Andrew?
Mine goes back to when I was much younger at a summer camp, a Jewish summer camp that I attended when I was 12, 13 years old. And at that time, I was the little guy in the room. I was much smaller than my friends around me. And what I didn't know going into camp that summer was that I actually had a growth hormone deficiency where I didn't hit puberty at the same time as everybody else was experiencing at that time. And over the years, that transcended from just the physical ha moments to actual online bullying, to where people would take my head and crop it on different bodies, and it would
Hmm.
spread, and it created an atmosphere where I wasn't just uncomfortable with myself, but I was uncomfortable being around other people, specifically individuals of the opposite sex. And for many years, that created a big insecurity. And over the years, as I, went down my path towards law and making sure that nobody ever felt alone or helpless, because I didn't have that support network, right? The friends I thought I had turned on me to avoid being picked on themselves. And
Wow.
while I don't blame, 11, 12-year olds for doing that necessarily, I do hold individuals who are old enough and supposed to be educated enough accountable for not defending somebody when they were in a position to do so. So I wanted to make sure that throughout my legal tenure and meeting individuals such as Mark, that I would make myself available to anyone who ever felt that they were alone, that they were isolated. And, as Mark said, we have very eerily similar stories, and we're the missing piece to each other's puzzles for the greater picture.
And speaking of the greater picture, you recently did a Kickstarter. So what was the experience with that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It was a great experience in the sense of seeing how many people out there really do want to share their voice, share their stories. And, I won't speak for Mark, but I know I had several individuals reach out to me telling me that they had similar experiences, or even just sharing their stories and thanking us for what we did. And, it was a good experience. There are some that didn't agree and maybe still don't agree with what we're doing, but at the end of the day, we survived. Mark, I don't know if you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the experience was a blessing and a curse simultaneously, because it stirred up a lot for people. Those who supported it knew how beneficial this project could be to victims of online harassment and aggression, and those who were online harassers and aggressors were stirred up to attack the project from various angles. And we think that they contacted Kickstarter on multiple occasions and attempted to get us deplatformed. First, by claiming that our project wasn't valid, it didn't actually meet Kickstarter's standards, and then what was the last thing they tried to do, Andrew? You remember?
Yeah, so we got an email from the Kickstarter team just giving us a friendly heads up that they wouldn't be taking action against us because it came to their attention that there were individuals from our team that were essentially self-funding, that we were funding ourselves, which pursuant to Kickstarter's guidelines, you cannot self-fund. And it's just Mark and I in terms of the officers of this project, of this company, and neither of us self-funded. We did not donate to our own project in compliance with those guidelines. And right now we're working with Kickstarter to see the genesis of those accusations, baseless accusations. But it just goes to show that, trolls are nasty.
They are nasty.
Well,
People are nasty.
I just wanted to say, we were funded in the last, I'd say, 24 to 48 hours by someone. We don't even know who it was. And it was facilitated by two people who have a philosophical show online, by Mark Gleason and Rick Rapetti. They have a show called Level to Power, and they're very supportive of our endeavor. And they were able to get somebody with deeper pockets to fund it. And so that started speculation on the part of the bullies and the trolls out there that I self-funded it.
Understood.
So,
I get it. It's like people need to find something better to do with their lives. Don't you agree? So what good will come out of this now? So tell us about what's your first step toward helpfulness to others. What will you be doing now?
Well, right now it's about actually assembling our team to try to get this Guardian project produced, to try to get the docuseries up and actually funded by a network and supported. Aside from that, I mean, I think it'll be about Andrew and I trying to get meetings with social media platforms to try to institute some of the innovations that we've discussed that we think will sort of create a better climate, online climate for people, and disincentivize this epidemic of relational aggression. And so we've come up with a few ideas that we think the platforms should hear. And given the fact that they're rather quickly losing the trust of at least half the country based on the way they decide what is unlawful speech and what is unlawful and what isn't. deplatforming YouTubers and political pundits like Dave Rubin, who's liberal, a gay married man, while leaving the Ayatollah Khomeini up to postulate on how false the Holocaust was. Seems like a bizarre sort of metric of measurement. So I have some ideas with respect to making standards much more objective, and to sort of so that we don't ever have to resort to the quote unquote necessity of Congress coming in to regulate these free speech platforms, because I think that's the beginning of the end of free speech.
Well put. I thank you both for spending some time with us today. And, you know, like I said with you, I was also bullied, and I have a very low tolerance for it, any type of bullying. So happy journeys to you both, and stay happy and joyful during this holiday season of goodness. And I wish you all the best. So good for you to stand up, right? Stand up for yourselves and each other. So way to go. Be well, guys.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.
You're welcome.